This is Dr. Steve and Teresa Hewlett from the podcast Nutrition Prescription, Wellness versus Medication. Since we started working with Adam, he has helped us in so many ways, from showing us how to launch a podcast from scratch to teach us how to actually make a living doing what we love, educating others.
What we appreciate most is that Adam really listens. He doesn't just answer questions, he takes the time to understand us. He knows we do our best when we can focus on one thing at a time, so he's great at helping us figure out exactly what our next steps should be.
But the best part about working with Adam is how much he genuinely cares about our success. He's invested in our podcast, always encouraging us and guiding us to the next level.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you so much.
What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's a show where I teach podcasters simple strategies to help you make more money, get more clients, and build a profitable online business. Today, we're talking about 7 tips for upgrading your podcast content strategy in 2026. We are in December. This is the time of the year where people kind of go into shutdown mode a little bit. And what I'm going to ask you to do, what I'm going to challenge you to do, is look ahead and kind of load the content cannon just a little bit and make some upgrades. I'm going to give you 7 strategies, 7 tips. You don't have to do all of them, but maybe you do 1 or 2. And these will really help so that you can grow your show, grow your audience, grow your business a little bit more effectively, a little bit more efficiently in 2026. All right. So let's dive on in. The first goal, the first tip that involves a goal is I want you to set a goal for yourself to release 1 episode a week. Now, some of you are doing more than that. I recently wrote a newsletter about episode cadence, and I really think that 1 per week is the ideal fit for like 90% of podcasters. If you aren't doing 1 episode per week, this is a goal. And the rest of the strategies I give you here today will help you get to that goal. Why is 1 episode per week important? I talk about this a lot, but I'm getting new listeners every single week. And welcome to the new listeners of Podcasting Business School. So I got to say this. 1 episode per week is important because weekly content becomes a superpower, especially for audio podcasters. Why is this true? People consume an audio podcast within their life routines. So right now, if you're listening to this, you're doing something else. You're driving to work, you're working out, you're gardening, you're doing the dishes. But with an audio show, people can multitask and they can insert your content into their life routine. And once we get into that life routine, we do not want to give up that real estate because they'll put someone else in there. So if you always listen to my show on Tuesday evenings on your commute home from work, first off, thank you. But secondly, if I don't release an episode for a few weeks, you're going to put someone else in that spot and I may not get it back. And we all know how hard it is to grow and how hard it is to find and connect with our ideal fit listeners. I've been doing this every week since 2015. I've never missed a week, multiple shows, multiple brands, niche, whatever. At one point, I had 3 different shows going at once, weekly content every week. I found a way to do it. And like I said, the rest of the tips will help you achieve this goal. So don't just discount it and don't doubt yourself. I mean, I know that you're, doing this part-time, you're side hustling. When I first started podcasting in 2015, I had 35 employees and 500 clients. I ran a gym and I worked like 1 million hours a week and I still figured it out. Dad, husband, the whole thing. I figured it out. It's that important. Right now, was I releasing 3 hours of episodes and big long interviews and things like that? No. Can you do a 5-minute solo episode every week? Hell to the yes. All right. So maybe instead of doubting that you can do 1 episode per week, we need to simplify things a little bit and find a way. Start making excuses as to how to do this instead of making excuses why you cannot do this. All right. That's my preachy one. That's my preachy tip. Tip number 1, the goal is 1 episode per week. All right. The rest of them are less preachy, I promise. Strategy number 2, tip number 2, to upgrade your podcast content strategy in 2026. Have a place, have a system, have a tool in place to organize and map out your content. Right? This is a big deal. I know a lot of you are just like, well, what haven't I talked about in a while? You're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And I did that at first too. And this is one of those things that with me talking to Adam 2015, I would sit myself down and be like, listen, just use a Google sheet. Here you go. Use a spreadsheet, use an Evernote file, use a piece of paper, use a calendar, whatever you need. But organized content and well planned out and thought through content is much better. And we can be much more strategic with it. And it takes a lot of pressure off of you as a content creator, because pressure is the enemy of good content. Being creative under pressure isn't like, some people step up like, I'm a gamer, but most people are not like that. When the pressure is on, it's hard to just create magic with our content. So I use a Google sheet. I created the sheet that is really ideal for me. I map out my episodes. I can see past episodes. I can see the topics of the episodes. I organize my calls to action, what I'm promoting in the episode, anything I need to know about it. It is all organized, and I can see it in the past for the entire year and for several weeks moving forward. And it's all color coded. It's beautiful. It's one of the tools that are involved with my group coaching program. By the way, shout out. We've got, like 3 weeks left of the discount for the first month. So if you need 50% off your first month of group coaching with me, get access to all my podcast content organization tools and all the other stuff, all my best courses on growth, newsletter development, listener client conversion. That link is in the show notes. Grab it. That 50% off your first month, which takes it from $250 a month down to $125 for your first month. That expires at the end of the year, December 31st. So let's hop on that train and get to work. All right. So that's tip number 2. Have a place to organize and map out your content. Tip number 3, use a single CTA, a single call to action with your episodes. And kind of combining it with tip number 2, align it with the episode topic if possible. Right, if it makes sense. So let's say you've got a coaching program or a course or something on a specific topic, and you do an episode on that topic. The CTA should be, hey, by the way, I've got this thing. It's basically what I just did. So back in tip number 2, let's hit that rewind button. You can go back and listen to that. But what did I do? I said, hey, I've got this tool. I have this tool inside of my program. This is exactly what I use. This is what my clients use. Guess what? Link in show notes, special deal. Go get it. That's my single CTA. I'm not going to tell you to do 12 more things this episode. All right. So a single call to action, including, like, a lot of you have canned intros and canned outros. And within those canned intros and outros, you bake in like 5 different calls to action of like, hey, go get my book. Hey, here's my website. Hey, here's my Instagram, my Pinterest, my whatever. Those count. Get rid of that shit. All right. You are giving your people too many things to do. You give them too many things to do. They do nothing. All right. Single CTA with reps really works. All right. So that is tip number 3. Use a single call to action per episode. Try to align it with the episode topic if it makes sense. All right. Tip number 4, create a 2-week content release buffer. Sweet baby Jesus, please do this one. Oh my gosh. Like, this will save you. If you are the person that has struggled with in the past with the weekly content thing, and you have starts and stops and little breaks that break for a little bit longer than what you had expected or had anticipated doing, this will save you. All right. Take some time right now. I know some of you are on a break right now. Go create a buffer right now, and then you're good. All you have to do is kick out 1 a week, or, when I do coaching episodes, I batch record those. So I've got those in the bank. I've got like 8 of them good to go now. So all my coaching episodes are good for most of next year. So I've got those pre-recorded in the bank. Now I got to kick out some solos. I record solos. I'll do 1 or 2 per week. And then when holidays approach, I take that week off. No problem. I can take a week off whenever I want because I've got content banked, recorded, edited, ready to go. All right. So create a 2-week. I love the 2-week buffer. That's what works best for me. Just having like, okay, if I get sick this week, will my episode go out? That amount of buffer needs to happen. What I don't want is my show's supposed to go out on Wednesday. I promised Adam I'd do an episode every week. It's Tuesday night. I got to figure this shit out. That's not what we want. All right. I had a little extra caffeine today. That's why I'm cursing more. I apologize. Earmuffs, children. So 2-week content release buffer. Now, with this buffer, one thing to think about. I don't like being too far out with my buffer. Like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks starts to get a little bit, well, if I get too far out, I feel like I lose my connectedness to that message that I delivered. Like if it's been so long that I forget what the heck I talked about in that episode, I don't like that, because when it comes to promotional week, I want it fresh enough that I can kind of just flip on my Instagram story and talk about it a little bit. Like, oh, I remember I recorded this 3 weeks ago. I'm good to go. But, I'm 45 years old. So something I said a month ago, I start to forget about that a little bit. And I got to review my notes and be like, what exactly did I say? I really don't want to have to go back and listen to my own episode again. I'm like, I lived that. I recorded it. I don't want to do that again. I'd rather spend time promoting that episode. So for me, a 2, maybe 3 week content buffer, that's my sweet spot. So, for some of you, it's like, I'm going to record 8 weeks. Maybe that works, maybe that doesn't, but just kind of pay attention to that. That's something that's important to you. Maybe that's not. But for me, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at most is kind of the sweet spot for my content buffer. But having a buffer is important. It has saved me a ton of times during allergy season. My voice sounds like hell. I get sick. We've got kids doing a million things. I just feel uncreative or whatever. Like I can withdraw from that buffer and then build it back up. All right. That is tip number 4. Tip number 5, start adding in audio testimonials. I know you all have them. Well, maybe you don't have audio testimonials, but I know you got clients that are getting results. You guys are coaches, you're service providers. Like you have helped somebody do something. Go hit them up. I use SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com. All right. It's free. Send them the link and go, hey, here's an easy little template. I would love to kind of recapture why you hired me, what you were dealing with, and the result we were able to produce together. I would love for you to create a 60-second audio clip. Maybe you can bribe them. It's not beneath me to do that. I've bribed some people like that I chase down week after week. I'm like, listen, if you record this, then I will give you a free course or something like that. Usually I don't have to chase people down that hardcore, but it's not, like I said, it's not beneath me to do so. But these are huge. This is so much more effective as an intro or even an outro than the song and dance you probably have on your show right now. I've done this for hundreds of episodes now. First audio you hear is someone else talking about working with me. And I will keep doing this again and again and again because it works so well. I'd much rather have one of you bragging about working with me and promoting what that service is instead of me running an ad for my own stuff. All right. It just hits different. And you guys know this. Don't be lazy with this. Again, it's the end of the year. Things are slowing down. Go back and find 5 people that you helped this year and hit them up and go, hey, here's the SpeakPipe link. Here's a quick template. I always send people a template. I'm like, kind of fill in the blanks, but I make it super easy for them. I'm like, when people do this for me, I'm like, the template is, hi, my name is, insert your name here, from, insert your podcast name here. I started working with Adam because, insert whatever. By working with Adam, I've been able to, insert whatever. My favorite part about working with Adam is, insert whatever. So we're not saying, make sure you say I'm really good looking and stuff like that. We're not feeding them the results, but we give them a little template, make it super easy, and then follow up in a week and go, hey, I would love to get this out on my next episode. It'd be so helpful if you could take 60 seconds and do this. And I will, I keep track of this. Those testimonials are like bricks of freaking gold for me. And I will keep asking and asking and asking. Will I ask every single day, every single week? No, but I will not stop asking until I get that testimonial. I may check in with you every 6 months if I have to. Hey, how's it going? Hey, I'd still love to grab a testimonial from you about your experience with my newsletter program or whatever. All right. So if you've never even asked, or you only asked like twice, you need to get your ask on. All right. That is tip number 5. Tip number 6, I want you to reuse and create fresh versions of your core pillar content topics. Especially if you're struggling, like I can't get to that weekly cadence. There are probably 10 to 15 solo episode topics that you need to repeat every single year. Here's why. I haven't even mentioned this. This is episode 599, right? I've got 599 episodes of this show. For some of you, this is the first episode you've ever heard. I cannot expect you to be a complete psycho and go back and listen to the other 598. Even if you've got I think if you've got over 50 episodes, like I'll go back if I find a new show, I can hammer out 50 episodes. All right. But you get into the hundreds, you can't expect people to go back and listen to your greatest hits. Some people will. You guys are psychos. I appreciate the psychos. Thank you for your download donation. Love it. But that's not expected. So what I have to do, I've got a list. For me, it's 12. I've got 12 pillar topics, and maybe I add, maybe I subtract, but usually it's about 12. I have to repeat those topics every year because new people are finding me. These are my most important teaching points. I've got to get these out every single year. Now, what I do, what I don't do. Let's start with what I don't do. I don't take the old episode and just re-air it. For me, I don't like that because I always evolve on these topics. I've always got new little nuanced thoughts and strategies and upgrades and updates, or maybe I thin it down a little bit. So I re-record it fresh out the podcast oven. And I put it out to you guys. And I don't get complaints from my longtime listeners because you probably need to hear this again too. Because how many of us hear something and take action on it the first time? All right. So if you hear it once a year, it's a nice little reminder. Hey, my 2/3 content strategy, or hey, the ideal listener journey, or the podcast monetization pyramid, or whatever, the SEO, podcast SEO, using Overcast ads. These are all topics that I cover every single year. Because I think back and I go, okay, think back to Adam 2015, 16, 17, when I struggled to grow and do anything with my business. Teach that person these 10 things every single year. Because I know some of you are there. You're in that post-launch frustration zone. You've launched and you're like, oh my God, this is so much harder to grow, to get engagement, to make any money. It's so much harder. And the purpose of this show is to help that person get up, get going, and keep creating content. Because you aren't failing as a podcaster. You're on a very normal journey. I have to call attention to that and teach you the things that will get you into the results phase that kind of keeps you motivated. All right. So look back, however many episodes you've created, or maybe you're just getting started, but think about this. Like, what are my 5, 10, 12, 15 pillar topics that you must cover that are super important, that whatever journey you're taking your listeners on, your version of when you started your own personal journey in your niche, what would you say to you when you first got started? Right. That's tip number 6. Tip number 7. You're going to hear a lot of this from me over the next 12 months, 13 months, because this is, I started preachy. I'm going to end preachy. All right. We're bookend preachy with today's content. The first one, the whole weekly content, I get preachy about that. The new thing I'm going to get super preachy about is tip number 7. Here we go. We have to absolutely start thinking about and factoring in the experience of our audience. Here's the core question. Are we adding value or adding to the noise? So many of us get in this content creator tunnel vision mode of, I'm going to release all this stuff. And I think it's so interesting and cool for me. And I'm going to blast 1 million episodes a week and all these social media posts and all of these newsletters. And I'm going to have all this pitching and selling and CTAs galore and all this stuff. And it's more important to sit and think and put ourselves in the shoes of our ideal listener and go, what are they experiencing from me? What do they actually need from me? Look at your call to action. I was going to add another call to action to today's episode. And then I practiced when I'm preaching here. I put myself in your shoes and I said, we don't need to talk about that. They don't need this. They don't need that extra call to action. They don't need that extra tip. Let's just stick with what we got here. I actually did this for this episode. So I'm getting better at this. I want you to get better at this. When you map out your episode and get strategic with your content and it's one of the advantages of really staying organized with this is you can sit and think and go, okay, like today's topic, 7 tips. Should it be 8? Should it be 5? What's best for my audience? I landed on this. I'm like, I feel good about this. At least one of these things is going to help you out. You're going to be able to move forward. I got a very simple call to action, talking about the whole, joining my group coaching program, 50% off until the end of the year, keeping it simple at that. That's all I need to do. We're good. I feel like I've added value instead of adding noise. Are you going to get 5 more episodes this week on this topic? No, you're going to get this one. All right. So I think this is something, as you reflect back and look backwards on your content and content strategy of 2025, ask this question: are you adding value or adding noise? And I want the scale of that to tip towards value in 2026. Less but better, less but more valuable, really hitting home and creating the content that your ideal fit listeners and ideal fit clients want and need, but also finding the sweet spot between that and what you actually want to create and what you get excited to create. I love creating this content today. All right, I'm sitting down here, batch recording on a Tuesday in November, getting ahead, and like this fuels my fire as a content creator. And I know this is going to help you too. And we kept it simple today. All right. So I love ending on that point. Start thinking about and factoring in the experience of your audience. I will be preaching about this a lot in 2026. I think this is a key move to stand out because a lot of people are just like the be everywhere, 1 million promotional things, lots of assets, lots of noise. That's all, like we're all overly marketed to and sold to. How do we stand out within that? We add massive value. We do it simply and effectively. All right, Pod Pals, that's it for today. Check the link in the show notes if you guys want to grab that half off your first month with group coaching. We'd love to have you in there. Like I love our relationship as a podcaster and podcast audience. If you kind of want to go from the sidelines and get into the game and start mapping out content strategy with me, like you get direct access to me. It's not like I have some coaching minions in there that are running sessions for me, but we do group coaching every other week. We do office hours every week. We've got a group chat rolling every single day in there. I love working with people. That's what I love to do. So this is a great opportunity to ramp up at the end of the year, get your content strategy mapped out so that you can grow and make the most of 2026. Check the link in the show notes. And with that, Pod Pals, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I will see you on episode 600 next week.